What's it like covering 6,000 miles in a £200 car? So Desmond the Perodua Kenari, which doesn't usually have the racing stripe, we're just faced with actual sunshine and I don't know how to cope with it. It's a car we bought for £200 and immediately drove to the Netherlands. So we did 1,000 miles in a kind of a long weekend, driving all the way to the Netherlands and then back to my home here in beautiful West Wales. And it's been a very surprising car for a great many reasons. One of the reasons it's been surprising is that it's absolutely tiny. This body is built to K-car regulations. It's originally a Daihatsu Move, but this one was built in Malaysia by Perodua or Perodua, however you want to pronounce it. It's called the Kenari, which translates as canary. And it's got a bigger export spec 1 litre engine, the same as Daihatsu was putting into the Core. Or the export mirrors. So we've got a 1 litre engine, 58 brake horsepower, tiny little car. How is that any good at all? Well, I will admit that the driving position is a little suboptimal for me. That's my foot on the throttle. I can get clearance under my leg. I could do with the seat going back further, but it doesn't. That is as far back as it goes. The big bonus of the seat not coming back further is there is actually room for me, a full-sized adult, to sit in the back, and I've got a proper separate head restraint as well. All the headroom in the world, of course, even for my HubNut beanie. So it is surprising how capacious this vehicle is. That surprise extends to the rear of the vehicle, where actually there is a decent amount of space here. It's not a lot, but we can actually get a week's worth of shopping in the back of this car somehow. And believe me, when we go shopping, we really go shopping. Incidentally, the door does not open fully out. It goes only as far as that, which I think is due to lighting regs, so it doesn't block the rear lights. You remember there was a fad in the sort of 90s and 2000s of 4x4s having extra lights in the bumper, and that's what it was about. It's because of a spare wheel on the back blocked the rear light. So I think that's why it doesn't open fully, but it's still a very useful load carrier, and that door in some ways better than a full-size tailgate, although it doesn't protect you as well in the rain. So under the bonnet, as discussed, excuse the seagulls, we've got a 1 litre 989cc in fact EJVE engine. Now a lot of the information online tells you this is a DE, but it isn't. This is a VE. It has the variable valve timing, which kind of boosts low-end torque rather than top-end power. Very hardy little unit. They can burn oil, so we do regular oil changes. Try and do them at the very most every 5,000 miles, but preferably every 3. But really nice little engine. Not the most refined little motor, but we like it. So actually coming inside the little Perodua, we can see it's all a bit simple and sparse. There's not a lot going on. Here's confirmation of our mileage. So 47,500 miles when we bought this car originally, now on 53,837. The fuel gauge continues to be somewhat vague. Sometimes it reads correctly, most often it doesn't. And look at the little rev counter going up to 6,500 revs before the red line. We don't rag it that much. Probably not a good idea with these cars. But you know, we've got airbags, we've got electric windows, we've got central locking. The button one in the back didn't work when we got it, but seems to have fixed itself, so that's quite nice. Down here is assorted random switch gear, which you can only view by opening the door. The fog light switches are actually wired in the wrong way round. For the icons, but yeah, we've got the inner pair of spotlights at the front are actually fog lights, not main beam lights. Rear wiper with a wash position 2 ways, so that's on, and then there's a wash up there as well. That's actually really useful. Be more useful to have an intermittent setting though. And then we've got the heated rear window, a little oddment tray, I'm not sure what for. And so concludes the comprehensive switchgear really. If we come across to the center console, we've got just a basic heater. The heater is ferocious, although not very adjustable. It tends to be hot or not, and trying to find the happy ground quite tricky. Maybe the heater tap is a bit stuck. No aircon. I don't think UK Peroduas had aircon, and we've got a modern head unit fitted by the previous owner. actually really useful. The kids absolutely love it, and it's very reflective. 12 volt power outlet, and this is quite useful just to tell you whether it's charging, and also charging phones, obligatory it seems. We've got loads of drugs because everyone at home is unwell, but it's a good sized glove box, plenty of space in there. The door pockets are a little on the slender side, and the seats surprisingly comfortable. And yes, they are as grubby as they look, because we use this as our everyday car. We go up the unit, work on other cars, get in with our filthy clothes. So light grey, probably not the colour, unfortunately. So yeah, just like sitting in the back, there's tons of headroom, so that isn't an issue. It's just that I'm a bit too close to the steering wheel, but can't really complain. We've done 400 miles in a day before with this car, thankfully with 2 drivers. And I wasn't looking forward to that to start with, but actually it was absolutely fine. And we've got a second mirror fitted because I'm actually using this car for driving tuition at the moment with little Miss HubNut. Try and get her out for a lesson, maybe today. It's a good day for it. But yeah, look at the glass area. Look at the view as well. Visibility is absolutely excellent. I feel a bit bad because I'm teaching her how to drive in a car that has way more visibility than the car would normally have. Massive door mirrors as well, although you can't adjust them inside, only outside. But even with 3 different people driving this car, we don't often have to move the exterior mirrors because they're very wide angle. So it's actually a surprisingly good motorway car. While you can't remove the rear seats, it is easy to fold them down. You just lift that handle and then you can adjust the, there you go. You can adjust the backrest position as well. So that's something else the Hublets like. They can be reclined if they want to. They can sit more upright, as my bag sitting in the back. So it's not massively practical having these fixed seats, but nonetheless it has helped us carry some impressively large loads in this car before. I'll just interrupt myself from the future to say I don't think this video really works without some stats. So being very aware of up and down videos and dump it, a car he has fully costed, and against his YouTube income, I have done the same. So the purchase of Desmond was originally £200. I've worked out that over 6,000 miles, we've probably spent somewhere in the region of 750 quid. Obviously that's a bit of a vague figure because some of that was overseas and fuel prices do fluctuate. But at around 48 to the gallon driven harshly and over 50 driven gently, I don't think we're too far away with that one. Maybe a little more, maybe closer to 800. Insurance is a little unknown because it was a mid-term adjustment, so I kind of bet on £300 for that. But of course that's over a year, not the however many months it is until now. Should be able to work that out. Is that 6 months? Yeah, we're about 6 months, aren't we? Cam belt kit is another cost. That cost about 100 quid. We did the cam belt change ourselves. We couldn't change the water pump because it turns out you have to take the cylinder head off to change the water pump. It's a huge casting, but it's pretty much the side of the engine. That was unexpected. But with 53,000 miles, hopefully the original is good for a bit longer yet. Or maybe it's been changed in the past. We just don't know. The exhaust with fitting kit was £400. Oil and filters, even though we actually already had the filters in stock for the Charade, I've put 80 quid for the oil. That's 2 oil changes and all the filters. The MOT cost £171 because we had to have some brake pipes made. The front to rear brake pipes, both sides, were remade for that MOT, plus the cost of the test, about £54. The tax or vehicle excise duty is quite a lot for this little car. I've put £200, but again, that's a little variable because I do pay direct debit, so it's a little more than that in reality. Tyres, £144 for a set of 4 Westlake tyres, which have been absolutely superb, budget tyres, really good. So the total this car has cost us, for my spreadsheet purposes anyway, is £2,345 and 25 pence. And if you divide that by 6,000 miles, that works out at 39 pence per mile. And you bear in mind, I can, against tax, I can write off 45p per mile against tax for car expenses. So it's actually within that, albeit only just. But then we've got some big expenses that are going to even themselves out over time. We should get a few years out of the tyres, should get many years out of the timing belt, hopefully the exhaust as well. So barring any major mechanical issues, that price per mile should just keep going down. But here's the interesting one. When I started working out, I added up all the income of all the videos we've done on this car. By far the most successful one was when I took it to the Netherlands. So I earned £601 from that video. That's ad revenue, and if you use YouTube Premium, which I fully understand, that's what we do, can't stand the ads, that comes out at £601 total income. So Desmond was in profit from the off with that first video. Bought a car for 200 quid. First video paid for the car and the trip to the Netherlands. Happy days. In total, this car has earned £2,052 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos, which is not bad going at all. There's a reason I don't do supercars. I don't earn enough to do supercar videos, but I do earn enough to do £200 car videos, and that's fine with me. So yeah, that grand total, £2,052, which means so far the car has actually cost me £293.25 for 6 months of motoring, including all costs and with income considered. And that comes in at just 5 pence a mile, which is my kind of motoring. So well done, Desmond, making sense on a monetary point of view. Oh, and before we get to the end of this video, had some exhaust issues, so there's going to be a second video coming, the exhaust stride falling off. Went to Whiteland Restorations, all sorted. That'll be a future video. That's all well and good. It's probably the most detailed walk around I've actually done of this car since collecting it. It's just fallen into daily use, and it really has been the car that 9 times out of 10 is the one we'll jump in. Perhaps if we fancy a bit more comfort, we'll take the Berlingo or the Ford Fairmont I also own. But for the mainstay, it has been this little car. So let's fire her up. Now we have had a problem with the idle being a bit vague and all over the place. There we go, just above 1,000, just slightly below. Can't quite make up its mind. But starts every time, has been super reliable. We've treated it to 2 oil changes so far, but the only mechanical work we've had to have done, we had to have a brake pipe replaced for the MOT, and I've had to replace the exhaust as well, the exhaust being one section all the way from the downpipe to just above the rear axle. So it's quite a big piece of metal. We could have had that welded up and enjoyed even more savings, but in all honesty, you have to get it off to weld it up, really. And I don't think garages like having naff little welding jobs like that, so we thought it was better off. We like this car a great deal. Let's just invest. It was 400 quid including the fitting kit in a new exhaust, and we got it fitted and it was superb. Although actually it's leaking very, very slightly, but we'll gloss over that. That's my fitment rather than anything else. But yeah, it's a lovely little car to drive. Both Miss HubNut and Little Miss HubNut struggled with the gear change. It's a bit rubbery and vague at first, but they've both got used to that now. And it's just the fact that you can squeeze through gaps like this without even having to think about it. It's the perfect size car for these skinny little Welsh roads, and it's very happy doing 20 miles an hour, which is convenient. Nice little parking brake, all fully manual of course, no electronic nonsense. And I think it's the simplicity that is one of the things we really like about this car. It just feels like there isn't so much to go wrong. Could be famous last words, we will see. Brakes need a bit of a shove, but they're not terrible. But I don't think we've got ABS on this car, which means my driving tuition is going to have to include how to properly do an emergency stop. Right, get out of Abrera and we're going to actually give it some beans. We have found the speedometer underreads quite dramatically, so you can safely do 25 mile an hour indicated, and you're probably doing 21 in reality. So it's a bit disappointing. You think it's a superb motorway car, you're bombing along at 70 and you're actually doing more like 62, 63. Yeah, performance not exactly out of this world. There's 60 indicated. But the engine noise is actually pretty good. It doesn't invade the cabin too much. What you can hear is wind noise. The wind noise is really bad. And I think part of it's poor sealing. I think the sealing on the windscreen itself isn't very good. And also the fact you've got these enormous door mirrors. So the price you pay for the good visibility is the fact they are big heckin' slabs sitting there out in the breeze. But yeah, it's an extremely jolly car to drive. It just feels so tight and fresh. As you'd expect, it's only done 53,000 miles. So even though we've hammered it, it's still very much a low mileage vehicle. And it feels it. Everything just feels nice and fresh. It tracks perfectly straight. It's really, really good. But we're going to go and tackle a very, very big hill, so we can show you a further downside of said vehicle. And we have had it 4 up going up this big hill, and it's not a fan. I can definitely say that. But yeah, the steering's nice. It's not got a tremendous amount of feel, but it's a nice weight. Power assisted, obviously. It's such a willing car. And for round here, you know, we've also got the Daihatsu Charade with the same engine, effectively. Slightly later evolution, a little more power, and a bit better on the bottom end torque. But the gearing is better here. It's a little bit shorter, which means it's quite busy on the motorway. But you're not having to change down quite so much in this car, because the gearing is just too tall in the Charade. You're always having to hunt back down for the power. Exhaust just rubbing very slightly there, it would seem. Apologise for the state of the windscreen. It looks absolutely filthy to you. I can see out of it just fine, but yeah, it does need going over. Another major downside of this car is, by heck, does it catch the wind. As you can probably imagine, it's tall, it's narrow, it's slab-sided. So on a windy day, it's a real fight to keep this car in a straight line. I can't really do a demonstration of what it's like on the motorway, for there is no motorway within 2 hours of here. So you just have to take my word for it. But it buzzes along quite merrily. The engine noise not obtrusive, the wind noise sadly very much is. It doesn't feel quite as top heavy as it looks when it comes to the bend, but it does lean a bit. But I guess with a 2CV on the fleet, I'm used to a bit of body roll. Marvellous. So there we go, the little car that we just love. We've had 6,000 very happy miles. Let's hope we have very many more. It's been just great. The perfect demonstration of affordable motoring. It's clever enough to start every day and be nice to drive, but it's simple enough that it isn't going wrong every 5 seconds because some sensor's gone wappy. And we love it. So just before I head off, I'm going to mention we have a new store for merchandise, and we can now send anywhere in the world. So check out the description for the Fourth Wall website, and hopefully that will make your merchandise purchasing all the easier. We're keeping the old store going for things like stickers and stuff for UK buyers, but yeah, the new store is where we're going to be heading increasingly, I think. So thank you for your support, and we'll see you in a future video. Farewell. Oh yeah, double overhead cam, baby. Oh, if I don't do another wiper test, you're going to be disappointed, aren't you? So manual, squirt, squirt, wipe, wipe. Okay, got something under that wiper blade, lovely. Good overlap, no triangle of doom. And the rear really needs a new wiper blade, but here you go. You can give it the dribbles, and then you can put it on and give it more dribble. Good wiping performance, but yeah, no intermittent setting, bit frustrating.